Hey y'all, this season we're teaming up with our friends at Written Word Media. Self publishing can be a solitary gig, but book marketing doesn't have to be, even if you love it like April does. Written Word supports indie authors with email promos and ad services that actually work. Whether you're launching a new release or trying to breathe some life into a backlist title, they've got tools and real humans to help. We've met them, we really have, to help you reach the readers who are looking for books like yours. They can also help you grow your newsletter and find brand new readers.
Both Jen and I have used their services and we're huge fans. So head on over to writtenwordmedia.com and let them help you shine a light on your book.
Shine a light.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Tough Love Publishing Podcast. I'm April L. Moon, and this is my fine co-host, Jen LaSalle.
Did I tell y'all I have been laughing about that for a full 5 minutes at this point?
Other than laughing at my ridiculousness, do you have any updates of a personal or business variety you'd like to share this week?
I do. So as of the time of this filming, I am very excited because despite the fact that I ended up staying up until midnight last night because my daughter and I are huge Swifties, I got such good sleep. So I am super excited because I have a simple, joyful new album to look forward to and new shirts to make because my daughter and I always make a shirt that says for Tortured Poets, it was the Tortured Poets pajama party. And we make our little shirts, we put on comfy pajama pants and we lay on the couch and we listen to the radio or listen to the new album on our TV so we can see the lyrics and everything. And it's a vibe. And I am super looking forward to doing that and super excited that TS12 is coming out. So I'm in a happy place.
Yeah.
Speaking of
I am very happy too.
Yeah, thank you.
You're reading ahead, ma'am.
I am.
Peeking at the notes. I'm just kidding. My update this week is that I am listening to the audiobook of Joyful by Ingrid Fetell Lee. I hope I pronounced her name right. And it's really been fascinating to me because while we're remodeling the kitchen, I've been listening to it and getting all these ideas about okay, well, of these big, broad categories of things in your surroundings that can cause joy, which ones can I incorporate and which ones do I feel most drawn to? And so far for me, the freedom one has been really it has been really drawing me in, I guess would be the way to say it. And I also really like the abundance things, where she even talked about confetti as an example of abundance. And I thought that was really fun. So when I picked our backsplash tile, I ended up going with a herringbone pattern that has lots of little tiles on a mat so that it's this beautiful uplifting pattern. And it even has examples all the way down to what kind of light bulbs you should pick. So anyways, It's a super, super interesting read or listen, depending on what you prefer, if you have not already read it.
If I'm not mistaken, Becca Syme really loves that book as well. And I have it on my bookshelf from Becca's recommendation. It's right over there for those of you watching the video. It's on my list, though. I haven't read it yet because I have to be in the mood for nonfiction.
Yes.
And lately I've been in a very fiction-y place, so.
And see, I'm kind of the opposite. So I am in a very nonfiction place right now. I literally just bought a giant stack of new nonfiction books. And they're towering next to my bed. If there were an earthquake, the book collapse might kill me.
That's a good way to go, though.
I mean, it could be
died as she lived, buried under books.
I'll take it. Okay, so today we have a fabulous topic.
Hard one.
And that it is. Prepare yourselves, guys. Today we're talking about making growth-based decisions instead of fear-based decisions.
That's a big, big topic. Yeah.
It is a big topic. So Jen and I discussed it briefly before we started recording, and we decided that a lot of the questions we're going to kind of give you both perspectives. So what does something look like to me and what does it look like to Jen?
Yeah.
So our very first question that we're going to go through is, what does a fear-based decision look like to Jen?
Oh, I get to go first. I am
You get
ill
to go
prepared for
first.
that.
Okay.
Um, so I actually really like this because I am a very body centric person. Every emotion that I feel it physically. Like I'm not just aware of emotions or like it's not just my heart. Like my entire body reacts to feelings. I'm an Enneagram 2. I don't know that it's that. I'm sure somebody out there smarter than me understands what it is, but basically I can tell when I'm making a fear-based decision because my body immediately tenses up, my heart pounds, and my throat closes, like almost immediately. And spoiler alert for those of you who have read my Midlife at the Magnolia series, Simone always knows when she's not being completely honest with herself or others because her throat is like her guide to her magic. And I pulled that straight out of IRL, like out of real life, because when I am thinking about something, if it brings on a good fear, it's like excited, butterflies in the stomach, and like my body gets jittery, and it's like a let's go, let's go, let's go. But when it's and I don't I guess good and bad fears, even like not necessarily the way I want to go with that, but like when it's a fear that is not encapsulated by any kind of doubt or trauma or disbelief or anything like that, like that's just pure excitement. And that's usually when somebody else has something going on, and I'm excited for them. Um, but for myself, like if I'm making a big decision and the fear that comes on, I can feel like it's like a physical fear, like body is preparing to be run from a saber-toothed tiger kind of physical sensation, and my throat will close up right away. And I have to immediately just stop and take some long, deep breaths and just focus on opening up the throat and relaxing and letting everything kind of settle. The good news is I've reached a point where I can tell when I'm making, when I'm making a fear-based decision as opposed to a growth-based decision, which we'll talk about in a minute. But I think that came after a lot of like therapy and introspection and self-awareness.
Yeah, I can see that
Yeah,
because it's sometimes so easy to get caught up in our head that we can miss the physical signs.
right.
So I can definitely see that taking some introspection to figure that out.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, and our brains, like, there we it's all over the internet, and I have not really read the science on it, but the general consensus is that our brains can't tell the difference between an email we're dreading sending and a real physical danger at this point because our minds are really active and really imaginative. So it kind of needs us not to just go on our first instinct and whatever that like initial fear might be, it needs us to take that second breath and that second like questioning moment. So when you do that, you can almost tell immediately whether it's fear-based or a growth-based decision.
And to that point, I also want to share a small resource for anyone who maybe doesn't know how
Good.
to do that work.
Yeah.
The Burnout, Breaking the Stress Cycle is a really, really good book for helping you identify how your body responds to stressors of any kind, whether that's a decision, a fear, like you said, an email that makes you feel like a tiger is about to eat you.
Yeah.
And that is by Emily and Amelia Nagoski.
Oh,
And I
fun.
believe one or both of them are PhDs. I apologize that I don't remember which one. They're sisters.
Okay.
But that is an incredible book for that kind of work if you
Good to
need to do
know.
it for yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll have a link to that somewhere.
Yes. Yes. We will put a link to that because it's a great book and I think more people need to read it. For me, a fear-based decision is also like a visceral thing and like a physical thing. I think instead of my throat, I tend to feel more like I feel it in my gut, right? It's almost
Mm,
like this sick feeling of like, oh my gosh, everything's going to go wrong. I can definitely tell when I start to fixate on the negative. Like I'm a pretty positive person
yeah.
overall, and like don't laugh because you do know me. But
I
like I'm a pretty cheerful, look on the bright side, let's stay positive kind of person.
would agree with
Um
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
but that's one of my biggest signs that I am making a fear decision is
Hmm.
that I am like fixated on every single way it could go wrong
Yeah.
instead of the equal possibility that it could go right.
I
You know what
love
I
that.
mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. And some of that, and I think one of the things about fear decision making is that it is really hard to tell the difference between a good decision and a fear-based decision on the surface,
Yeah.
right? Because, well, am I just being wise and I'm trying to be careful? And, all
Mhm.
those words that we've been told by society are things that we should be. Um, those can kind of mask the fact that we're letting fear take the reins.
Right. Right. And one thing I really like about you, April, that you have said for years, and I've known you for I don't know how long now, but long enough to say this, you tend to trust your instincts on something. You
Mhm.
tend to trust your gut. And
Yes.
listening to you over the years, and when you talk about my gut is saying this, I just know it. And sometimes you can't even put that in words, even though your brain is
Yeah.
probably like solved an equation ahead of you, before you like even
Yeah.
realize, or it's gotten through a pattern. But for me, I've often gone to a point of why am I questioning my instinct on this? Why am I questioning my gut?
Mhm.
Because usually when I'm questioning myself, that is coming from a place of fear and not growth. When I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, but are you just saying that because you don't believe in yourself, or it'll never happen for you, or something like that? Those kinds of things don't come from my instinct, because my instinct knows what to do. I've been in this business long enough that I tend to should be able to just trust, like when I know what to do with an ad, or when I know what to do with a promotion or something like that, like that should be something I can just trust. But when I start to question it, it's usually because if there's an internal fear or an old trauma or just good old self-doubt coming up.
And I guess we maybe should have started with like an intro of why we want to talk about fear versus growth,
Yeah,
right?
good
Because
call.
we kind of just left in there. But I want to say for me, it's really hard to make good business decisions for a long-term
Yeah,
sustainable business if you are constantly letting fear be the driving factor and the
yeah,
driving force. And so learning to identify when fear is talking to you instead of a growth decision that's going to fuel your goals
yeah.
is really important, I think.
Yeah, no, I would completely agree with that. I think that I always go back to rom-coms in my head, because one of the like most common tropes of like older rom-coms was, I don't want to let love in because I'm afraid of getting hurt because of something that happened in
Mm.
the past, right? And usually that's the thing that they have to overcome, right? To find the true love or the happily ever after at the end of it.
Right.
I think we're like that as well with like business decisions, right? I'm like, well, I don't want to do this because I don't want to fail again. And we talked in past episodes about how failure isn't necessarily a bad thing, right? Like quote unquote
Mhm.
failure is usually a sign of growth. It's something that you can learn from. But we get so afraid of what bad thing could happen that we're not often willing to embrace or take that next step into what could be a growth thing.
Yeah.
We get very comfortable living with what we know, even if we're not necessarily thrilled with it. But when you want
Mhm.
to grow a business, you have to get a little uncomfortable.
Yeah. And
And I'm sorry, can I just
think
throw in one thing, because you have a really good thought? But for those of you who are watching on video, you're going to see me shaking my body many times through this and shaking my head. And I am literally just, as we talk about this, bringing up physical fear and releasing it because I can feel it. So it's just an energy thing. I'm okay. Sorry, go on.
okay,
So I
good.
noticed I was doing it and I was like, people are
I
going to be
did
like,
I did see you do it once, but I did not notice it the second
yeah, you're going to
time.
be like, is Jen okay? She's very wiggly. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So to me, a growth-based decision is something that is aligned to your strengths, your goal,
Hmm.
and and your ultimate purpose for your business, for yourself, for your life. For me, I set very specific, clear goals, and I do it once a year. I usually do like quarterly stuff too, but like for the entire year, I'll say, hey, what is my goal for this year? For 2025, it was to make more money with less stress. That was the specific actionable goal that I gave myself. What?
I'm sorry. I'm just writing down. How's that working out for you right now?
I don't even want to hear it as I'm in the middle of a kitchen remodel. Okay. We're not going to talk about that.
Yeah.
But my specific goal was to make more money while being less stressed. And I chose to do that by focusing on only my strengths, right? And
Yeah.
to only choose one growth project for the year that I thought was the hardest hitting, going to drive the most growth with the least amount of effort from me personally.
Yeah.
Um, and basically, I knew that that was a growth based decision for me because it included my physical health, my
Mm-hmm.
mental health, my business growth, because I have a goal. Like, I had a goal to be a 7-figure author and to continue growing my business and to be able to retire my husband and like all of these really big things. So it still kept true to the spirit of what I was trying to do, but it did it in a healthy way and in a way that aligned with my talents. Right. And
Yeah.
so that's how I knew that it was growth based for me. What about you?
I love that because you talk very analytically and logically about emotional things, and I love that because you're like a you. That's one of the reasons we got the tough love moniker, right? Because I'm all like
Mhm.
vibes and touchy feely, and you're like, but my spreadsheet says this is a good decision, but your spreadsheet has emotions to it, right? Like that's kind of that's how you gel and you work, and it's great. Yeah, I think my goal for this year was to be comfortable with more visibility, right?
Mhm.
I for me it was I knew I was making a growth-based decision because it felt scary in a good way, but more importantly
Mhm.
because it was difficult. Like for me, my default tends to be if something is difficult or challenging me, my like again going back to that physical, my body will shut down. I will get instantly very very tired because my body's like, "Oh, we can't do that. We can't fight that," right?
Yeah.
I know a good growth-based decision makes me tired before I even start it. And
Wow.
yeah, because I know that I'm like gearing up. I'm like, okay, I'm going to rest now because I'm going to do something hard. So for me, it's like it's scary, but it's not in a this is going to fail kind of way. It's like a this is going to challenge me way. And getting comfortable with being uncomfortable has been like my greatest obstacle to overcome.
I love that you specifically pulled out that it's difficult when
Yeah,
it's the right direction, right?
right.
Because that has held very true for me as well. And I think that a lot of times we assume that something that's right shouldn't be difficult. And I don't think that's true.
I don't think it should or shouldn't be. I think it can be very simple or straightforward,
Mhm.
but it feels difficult. Like maybe it's a growth-based decision, for example, to stop trying to keep up with social media if that is not in your strength area, right? And
Mhm.
it is a growth-based decision to go, I'm just not going to post on my socials anymore. And that's
Right.
actually very easy to do in terms of implementing it, but it feels difficult.
Okay, so that is very true. I agree with that. I guess in my head, I was thinking of it the opposite way of like, well, it might be very difficult for me personally to write an extra book next year because I'm
Right.
pretty sure at this point of 2025, I already know that my goal for 2026 is going to be to put out an extra book.
Yes.
Just because I've learned and grown, and I think that's what's going to move the needle the most, right? But
Yeah.
I'm not a fast writer. I'm not willing to compromise my values on how good the book is going to be or my processing time for the book.
Right.
So I do think it's going to be very difficult for me to put out an extra book, but
Right.
I also think it's worth figuring that out. Right.
Absolutely. And I think what
Mhm.
you're talking about is improving a skill that you
Mhm.
already have, right? Like that's why it's difficult, right? It's like when you level up on anything, when you get a little better at something, parts of it become very easy, but when you want to improve those parts, that's when it becomes difficult. For sure.
Yes.
Incidentally, next year you and I both have to write an extra book because yeah, I've only been doing two a year and I'm only doing two a year this year and I really want to do three because I have a super secret project that I'm very excited to get to and I can't wait a full year to do that. Yeah.
I'm also very excited to get for you to get to that.
I know.
Just for the record. Um, but I also want to simultaneously reframe that with we don't have to write another book. We
Yeah,
are
no.
choosing
Yes.
We
Yes.
are making a decision that is
Yes.
growth-based to write those extra books next year. Right?
Absolutely. And that feels hard and a little scary and uncomfortable, but it doesn't feel wrong or threatening.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Yeah.
Coming in with making me think about emotions, Jen? Like, what is this? What is happening right
I
now?
have no doubt you'll get back to me in some like make me think a spreadsheety way.
I probably will. Just wait for it. It's
I love
coming.
that though.
Okay, so our next up was how do people figure out the difference for themselves between fear that we want to follow and fear that we want to avoid?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mhm.
Go ahead.
So our general idea is like ask yourself questions, kind
Yeah.
of embrace the introspection. And one of those questions would be, what do I find scary about this?
I think that's a great question. Yeah.
And if we use some of the examples that we've already given you to like apply that to what do I find scary about writing an extra book next year? For me, that would be um, simply what if I'm not capable of producing books at the same quality
Mm-hmm.
faster?
Right.
Right? I
Right.
do find that scary. But
Yeah.
then I can address that fear and turn around and say, okay, well, if that turns out to be the case, then my underlying value of only releasing excellent quality books is going to stop me from producing or publishing a book that I don't feel is good enough.
Right. Right.
Right. So that's like me talking back to that fear.
Yeah. And also, that's you being comfortable with the idea that even though you've set this growth based decision, you might not achieve it, but you might not achieve it for the right reasons. And that is okay. And that goes back to being
Right.
comfortable with the quote unquote failure.
Mhm.
But I also think when you ask what is scary about this, what you're doing is you're giving a name to your fear. So it's not this big, dark, overbearing emotion, right? It's actually something tangible that you can look at and you can address. That's actually a
Mhm.
practice I go through with my children. One of my children has very severe anxiety and sensory processing disorders. And so when they become very, very scared, we sit down and the first thing we do is we connect to all of our senses. And the second thing we do is we name the fear because then
Mm.
we are in a safe space and we can decompress and talk about the fear and address it.
I love that. I think
Yeah,
that's useful just in general, not
it
just
is.
for publishing.
That's a life hack right there. Not even a hack.
Yes,
Like
it is.
nothing's a hack anymore.
I mean, I'm sure we could think of something, but that's not the point. So, what's one of your questions, Jen?
Whose voice holds the fear? Very
Mm,
often we listen to our inner voice all the time, and our inner voice is saying completely opposing viewpoints at different times. So often I like to ask myself, whose voice holds this fear that I'm hearing internally? Is it my voice
mm,
or is it the voice of someone from my childhood? Or is it the voice of an ex-boyfriend or an ex-partner or a teacher or something like that, right? Those moments where you doubted yourself or your body is holding on to these older dated fears that happened once
mm.
before and so they become a part of you, right? So just asking myself, is this my voice or is this someone else's voice that I've allowed in my head? And then that gives me
Oof.
the power to address whether it's a good fear or a scary fear.
Okay, I love that for a lot of reasons. Number one, because it's identifying things that we might have been told or that we might have like believed that
Yeah.
don't actually support us anymore.
Yeah.
But I also like it from the perspective of I have a life mantra that I do not accept advice or criticism from people I don't respect or admire.
I love that.
So if that is coming, if that fear is coming from negativity from someone I don't respect or admire, then I am very quick to drop that
Yeah.
because screw that.
Yeah, but you have to get to that point where you can be like, I am
Right.
dropping this. And sometimes if it's the voice of someone like your mother or your father, right? Or just your upbringing or your community or something like that, it's a lot harder to just be like, well, screw that and drop it, right? That's
Mhm.
a practice. That's a skill set that you can develop.
Yeah. And I love that. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next one on my list is why am I avoiding this idea, this possibility, whatever it is that I am afraid of? Because if we can figure out not even what's fearful about it, but maybe what repercussions we might be afraid of as a result of this action,
Mhm.
or a result of this choice, then that can help us look at it in a different perspective,
Right.
and see that it is in fact positive for us and it has good roots, right?
Yeah.
Um, so if I am afraid of something because I don't want more people to read my book and possibly give me a negative review,
Right.
well, then I can say, okay, well, let's look at that in the fact of the more people I find to read my book, the more super fans I might find.
Right.
The more people I find to read my book, sure, I may get more one-star reviews by the numbers, but maybe I'll get 10 times as many five-star reviews.
Right.
Like that is a fear. That is even a valid fear because you probably will get more negative reviews when you get more overall reviews.
Right.
But is that fear more important than achieving my goal
Yeah.
or my life's purpose, depending on how you look at
Yeah, for sure. I love
it?
that. I think mine is actually very similar to yours, being curious. Um, Anytime I feel an initial fear, and again, I'm talking like mostly, emotional or mental fear. Like if there's a like car coming at me, I'm not going to be curious about what's happening. Like let's just
Please don't be curious about the car.
this is like decision-based fears that we're talking
Yes.
about. But I like to be curious about that. Okay, I've given it a name. This is what I'm afraid of. So I'm kind of curious, what do I think is going to happen if this fear is realized? Or what do I think is
Mhm.
going to happen if this fear is not realized, right? Like if I'm wrong about this or if I'm right about this, this is kind of like the paths that I can take, the journeys. I'm a highly futuristic person. Futuristic is very high in my Clifton strengths. But also, I like to know that whatever is going to happen, a good, bad, or in between, right? Like, I know that I can handle it. And maybe I already have a plan B or plan C, D, E, F, G ahead of time. And maybe something will happen that completely blindsides me. And that's okay too, because I know that I can adapt. And so being curious about what that fear is feeding allows me to decide whether this is a fear I can follow or a fear that is actually coming from a legitimate place and is maybe not the right growth-based decision for me.
That is really interesting too, because you made one very interesting comment
Just
about,
one.
well, I mean, one stood out to me. It was all interesting, but this one thing stood out to me. Um, and that was that like I could get blindsided, but I trust myself to figure that out.
Right.
Because you could get blindsided even if you do nothing. And
Yeah.
I think that's something that a lot of people kind of ignore
Hmm.
whenever they're making the calculation of if I'm going to make this decision, am I going to take that leap? Am I going to try something new? Even if you stay exactly where you are, you could still get blindsided by something.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
is no guarantee that I can stand on the street corner and never take the first step and not get hit by a car.
I don't know
You know?
why we've gone to getting hit by cars today, but
I don't know, but that was the example you gave. So
I
I felt
know,
like,
I know. Well, I that's really, when you and I were together this past February in New Orleans, we were talking about some of my money blocks. And one of the things that you said was, okay, well, not reaching your income goals is not serving you right now. So even though you're
right.
afraid of reaching your income goals, what if it still doesn't serve you? It's no different, but now you have higher income. Whereas it could additionally help you move forward in other directions. And I think that's a lot of
Yeah.
that. Like sometimes we think standing still is the right answer because we're afraid to step forward. And
Yes.
honestly, things are going to hit you even when you're standing still because the life around you is always moving.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Whew.
okay.
Shaking my
And
body.
that leads perfectly to my last question I had in
I
that section,
know.
which was, would my life be better or worse after making this decision? Oh man,
Ooh.
like this is one that I get excited about, right?
Yeah.
Because I think there are so many ways that we can make good decision and improve our lives. And that could be small stuff like, hey, I decided to get a new shower head because the old
Yeah.
one sucks, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that's a pretty easy yes. But what about stuff like, am I going to translate my book series into German?
Mm-hmm.
That's expensive. It could be scary to kind of part with that much money. I know it was
Right.
for me,
Right.
but do I think that the potential reward and the potential expansion of readership and the potential benefits of doing it outweigh the negatives, you
Yeah.
know?
Or even, will my life be different after making this decision? Because for some people, even an unknown different, regardless of whether it's better, is still scary. And
I
some of
am
us,
I am those people, just
yeah,
for the
it's
record.
me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I have many times in my life to this day, this is not a thing that I just get over overnight, but I know that I am capable of staying where I am, even though it's uncomfortable because it's known,
Mm,
right? And I
yeah.
can see that decision and I can see, oh, that's going to make my life better. That's going to improve this, 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 and this. But it's still scary because I don't know what my life is going to look like after I improve X, Y, and Z. And so that,
Mhm.
that's just something you have to be honest about with yourself and curious.
Absolutely. I love
Yeah.
that.
Whew.
And I think for me, it's kind of like a switch flips, right?
Mhm.
And I really hate change just in general. Like change, I struggle with it. But if I give myself the time to properly process the decision, I look at it from all the angles. I do this work of going, okay, well, why am I afraid of this? What am I holding back on because of this fear? I go through all of that. At the end, once I realize, once my gut says, this is right, do it,
Yeah.
it's like a switch and like the fear drops away and I'm ready to charge ahead, right? And
Love that.
it's just like a different kind of feeling once you can get to that good place with it. So,
I love that. I'm going to talk about that a little bit in my tough love moment when we get there.
okay.
Okay.
Are we ready for our tough love
I think
moments?
we are. I think
Is it that time?
we've beaten this rushing car.
No more car crashes,
No
please.
more. No
Oh.
more. My goodness.
Okay. My tough love moment for the day is that fear isn't going to go away, but we don't really want it to. I
Yeah.
mean, when it all comes down to it, no fear means you're not pushing yourself to try something new and potentially exciting. And also that you're probably not growing. I won't say that you're not, but you're probably not growing. Um, but instead of focusing on the fear and all the negatives, as much as you can, try to focus on embracing the fear as a natural part of life, but not the only factor and certainly not the deciding factor.
Yeah. So a moment ago, you said, you have a switch flip moment where you are ready
Mhm.
to charge ahead full steam because you can kind of see where everything is leading. My tough love moment is really very loving, and that is, and I think I've seen this on the internet a lot. I'm not going to take credit for it, but you don't have to have the courage to achieve a specific goal. You don't have to fight a fear to get to an end game. You just need enough bravery to take the next step forward. And you already have that because like you love yourself enough to want to take that next step forward. You're considering it. You're listening to us right now because you're seeing if we're giving you some kind of insight that's going to help you take that next step. So you're already braver than you think you are. Take that next step. Don't necessarily worry about the end game. It's okay. Just one step forward.
I love it. I love the idea of focusing on just one step at a time. I
Yeah,
think that's great advice.
can help.
Excellent.
Oh, go us.
All right. Well, that's it for today. Thank you guys for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe wherever you like to listen. And if you have a topic you'd like us to tackle, please leave us a comment and let us know.
Yeah.
Bye, y'all.
Thanks, everyone.
And before we go, I wanted to take a moment again to say thank you to our friends at Written Word Media for supporting season 1 and this episode. If you're an indie author looking to reach more readers without losing your mind or your writing time, check out their email promos and ad services. They make book marketing feel doable. And if you're anything like me, you might even find it fun.
Head to writtenwordmedia.com and take the next step in getting your book into the right reader's hands.